Tigercast fans, welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well. Tonight's video is another training report, and it's a training report as of Monday, the 20th of January. So fresh off today's training session. Now, I've scoured the forums, I've scoured Facebook and everything else to see what was happening in the world of football today. But the only training report I stumbled across was from the great man himself, Caesar from Punt Road End, who we obviously love giving a shout out to with his work. And it was an interesting one from Caesar today because it wasn't so much a full comprehensive training report rather than a Sam Lawler. I nearly did a TIG71 there and called him Lalor. Sam Lawler training report because for some unknown reason, a few people misconstrued his training report from the other day in regards to match sim, where he mentioned that Sam Lawler was in the match sim, but he didn't shoot lights out or, you know, get 35 touches, but that's totally okay because it's just match sim, right? And a few people kind of interpreted that as, oh, he's a dud to list and we should have gone Jagger instead and stuff like that. So this one's a bit more, I suppose, about flying the flag for Lawler, I guess, from Caesar, which was really cool because it was actually really interesting to read a bit more about Lawler's session today. So we won't hear too much more about the rest of the crew in this report, but Caesar, again, wonderful job. You're an absolute superstar from Punt Road End. Make sure you get around his post. If you are on that forum, make sure you give it a like. So Caesar wrote today on Monday that it was a big training session, 150 minutes, and the conditions were fairly sticky outside. They did some serious running drills, match sim drills, ball movement drills, and things like that. So on Sammy Lawler today, he trained the full 150 minutes, which is really, really good because, like we've said before, he's not done a full footy pre-season before and coming off a 10-week hamstring injury. I think I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I was probably very skeptical of how quickly he would be able to get up to speed. I'm not saying he's fully up to speed right at this moment, but in my mind, I actually think he's doing a bit more than even what I thought he would be up to. I thought we might have gone a bit more conservative, but he's obviously ticking all the boxes. So you've got to back in Ben Serpell and the fitness and medical staff that we've got at the club now. So Lawler did the full 150-minute session, only sitting out the big running sessions. So that I think that's fairly mandatory for all the new boys to sit out from, just in regards to managing their workload. Because, yeah, life as a full-time AFL footballer is far different to what they would have gone through at Coates League level. He did do a few shorter run-throughs, Caesar goes on to write, with a smaller group that included McAuliffe, who was still primarily in conditioning. So McAuliffe, yeah, he was doing a lot of work before the Christmas break and was doing quite well in the sprints, but is still in conditioning. Now, has anyone heard any news about Kane McAuliffe at all? I know I mentioned the other day that we're probably managing workloads for players and things like that, but I feel like that's probably more aimed at the older players. Kane McAuliffe came back in arguably the best shape of his life. So I just can't help but feel there's something a little bit more to it, but we just haven't heard anything. So, I mean, I suppose we're going to go with no news is good news on the injury front, right? If anyone's heard anything though, please let me know because I'm just a little bit worried about McAuliffe. I want him to do so well this year, and maybe the club are holding him back so he doesn't burn himself out. So there's going to be logic behind it. I would just love to know what it is. Because we want to see him smashing it at training, of course. Caesar also noted that and I think there was a photo posted as well somewhere. I'm not sure how recent the photo was that was on, might have been Ando posted it on Twitter, I think it was, that is starting to see a bit of a change in the body shape of Lawler already. So kind of dropping a little bit of that puppy fat and looking a bit more lean, a bit more defined and moving around a lot better, which is really good. It's just, like I said, being in that professional environment is going to take effect pretty quickly with these kids. And it's good to see them, you know, getting a body hardened kind of condition, getting ready for AFL football because it's going to be brutal. So good to hear that. And he says in general, ball movement drills, he was smacking targets lace out, which is what we love to hear. I reckon every year when you go through drafting players, everyone's main concern and high priority list is can they kick a ball, right? And because, you know, we've been blessed with a couple of players who've been pretty good passers, but I don't think we've at all been anywhere near like the Hawthorn three-peat team and their skill level of passing and things like that. We've been more of that chaotic ball style. So to hear Sammy Lawler lasering targets, we've seen that a few times on training footage as well, is really encouraging and really good to see. And in a 5-minute tight handball game, he was the standout, which is really good as well. Caesar goes on to say, match sim, which did not start with centre clearances. It started from a kick-in, whether regardless if a goal or behind was scored. That Lawler was used and found the ball a lot, but the highlight was a strong running vertical leap grab under pressure from Samson Ryan, which is someone I'll get to shortly. And then when they broke up, they did like some line work, some roll-based drills that Lawler was doing some forward body work against Sims and Zeeble. In set shot goal kicking practice from about 40 out, dead in front, he kicked about 10 straight. And we have read as well on previous reports that he's pretty handy on snapshots for goal as well. So he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. But a nice little report there from Caesar from Punt Road End. Thank you again, legend. In regards to Sam Lawler, always good to hear that he's putting in some serious minutes on the training track, number one. But number two, that he is smashing targets and having the great foot skills that we all want him to have. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because he's probably got the body of an in and under midfielder, but with how he's hitting targets, we probably want him with ball in hand. So it's going to be fascinating to see what he does. I really, really hope that he gets into a position to play in the West Coast preseason game and the Collingwood preseason game. Although having said that, if the conditioning staff don't think he's at that point yet, totally okay if he doesn't play. We'd rather not do the wrong thing there. But keeping everything crossed that he's right to go, as well as Smiley too, which would be very good to see. Samson Ryan was the other name that was mentioned, taking a big run and grab. And I'm going to do a video about him very shortly and my thoughts there. But low-key, I think there's big things in store for Samson Ryan. I know that might seem like a long shot based on exposed form, but let's just watch this space and keep an eye for that video. Now, the other bit of news that came out of the Tigers today was the appointment of Ry Geishan as our national recruiting manager, taking over from Chris Toshay, who sadly passed away just, I think, during the trade period. Ry Geishan's been working in the AFL industry for about 15 years across AFL Victoria, like the Northern Knights. He's been director of football at Melbourne Grammar. So he's really been around the traps, and it's no secret that with the ongoing illness that Chris Toshay had, that Blair Hartley and Ry Geishan in particular both stepped up in a massive, massive way off-field with our recruiting strategy and putting all of this together. When you've got 8 picks to have to try and nail, it's not an easy task. I mean, some would say it's not easy to nail 1 or 2. So to actually make sure that you put in all the right groundwork and all the right steps to get these 8 picks right, because our future hedged on it, really. And look, there's still a lot to play out. We don't know if they all landed. If some were hits, some were misses, we won't know. But for all intents and purposes, Ry Geishan was a massive, massive part of this, and there's a lot of belief around the club and from other clubs within the industry that we nailed this, that we got it right. So congratulations to Ry Geishan for getting that position. It seems like a natural step up for him and very well deserved, because he's already obviously got a really good idea of what we're looking for, what we're trying to build. So he would no doubt already have his next list of names ready to go, along with Blair and the rest of the recruiting team. So looking forward to what Ry and the team do in the future. Congratulations again. And that is it for this evening. So thank you again to Caesar for the report on Sammy Lawler. Well done to Ry Geishan. And make sure, if you're a Richmond supporter watching this and you're enjoying it, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And I'll see you for the next video. Go Tigers.